Okay, grade 11s, this is a lesson that's all going to be done through a Google Doc, and it's about compound if statements and the not operator, and we're going to see what those things are and why they're important. We've already learned about if statements. I'd highly recommend that you complete all the classwork on if statements before you view this video, because now we're going to make it one step more complicated. So compound if statements. Sometimes you want to make sure that two things are true. So sometimes it's necessary to use two conditions in an if statement. So here's a condition, the and condition. And that's going to help us do a compound condition. So not only do we want to make sure that number is greater than 5, we also want to make sure that number is less than 9. So we want it to be in the range. Think of the number line. We want to draw a number line. We want to have it between 5 and 9, not including those endpoints. And this is how we describe it in our if statement to Python. I'm just going to clean this up a bit so that it looks more like code. Maybe that'll be easier to see. Colorizes it nicely. It's a nice add-on I have called Code Pretty. I don't know. Found it on Google Docs. Okay, so I want you to notice that it's not like this. It's not like that. If we were just speaking to one another and we wanted to describe in math to your math teacher maybe, well, we want a number that's greater than 5 and less than 9. That makes perfect sense. But to the computer, each side of the and operator, because that's the and or the and condition, has to be a full condition that can be evaluated to true or false. So I'm just going to highlight this, num greater than 5. That can evaluate to true or false. On the right side of the and operator, that also has to be able to evaluate to either true or false. So now that that's true, what happens, this is how Python works. When it sees this, it's going to say, is num greater than 5? Yes. And is num less than 9? Yes, that's true. If both things are true, if true and true, then the result is going to be true. If it's num greater than 5 is true, but num less than 9 is false, if it's a number like 33, it's not going to be happy, and it's going to return false for the whole thing. Okay? I'm just going to step back for a moment and do something here. So we have, and this is for if you're in the engineering class, this will make a lot of sense to you already. But I'm just going to pause for a moment and make a table, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here's my table I created in Google Drive, and I want to say, let's say, we're going to say num less greater than. So what was our thing we had? We had num greater than 5 and num less than 9. And then we're going to have overall result. Okay, overall result. So is num greater than 5? True, false. Is num less than 9? False. Well, then the overall result for the if statement will be false. If num is greater than 5, and this is because of the and, so this is because of the and operator. Really important. This only applies to and. If num is greater than 5, false, but num is less than 9, it's still not good enough for and, it's still false. If num is greater than 5 is true, num less than 9 is false, the overall result will still be false. Finally, if both are true, if num is greater than 5 and num is less than 9, then it's true. Then we're happy. Then the if statement will be satisfied. And then it will do the body. It will say num is greater than 5 and less than 9. So that's the and condition. Let's look at the or condition now. So here's an example, and I'm going to make this a bit more uniform here. So this is going to be our or condition here. So with our or condition, this is different than and, but the or condition, either one or the other has to be true for the whole thing to be true. And this is really good with, case-sensitive things like maybe a name. So in this case, we're using strings. Name is a string. If name is equal to Pascal with a capital P, or name is equal to Pascal with a lowercase p, we're going to say hello Pascal. So here's your table. I'm just going to pause to set it up again. Okay, so here's my table. So either name Pascal is with capital P or it's with a lowercase p. So if name Pascal with a capital P is false, if name is equal to Pascal with a lowercase p is false, the overall result for OR will be false. If the first one's false, second one's true, overall will be true, because either one or the other true is good enough for the whole thing to be true. Now, if the first one's true but the second one's false, the whole thing's true. And if they're both true, well, that's even better. It's still true. So OR is not as picky. As long as one's true, though, it's good enough for OR. Okay? So you can think of AND as a more selective thing, and OR is less selective, I guess. Okay, what else did I want to say in this lesson? So note that each subcondition must be a complete condition. We went over that. You can also reverse a condition using the not operator like this. So let's look at this example. This is the last thing. If age is, and I'm going to make it look more like code first. So if age is equal to 5, it'll say you are 5 years old. Alternatively, you could say if age is not equal to 5, you are not. Then you could just say the opposite. You are not 5 years old. These two if statements achieve the same thing, but they just do it in a different way. All right. So that's it for compound if statements and the not operator. And you might want to space that out. Not necessarily, but you can. And that's it.